And the timing of the release of the book is so interesting because we're headed into 2024. The statistics are out in terms of inflation, depression is up, substance use is up. So what is there to be optimistic about from a practical standpoint at a time like this?
Absolutely. People ask me that question. They're like, it's almost like it's funny. It's not like they're saying it, but they're like, how dare you talk about optimism, right? Like our world is on fire. There's war and like climate change and coming out on of the pandemic, and then everything that you mentioned, mental health crisis. And so my argument is we need this book now more than ever. And
Right.
the key thing about this is we're not talking about toxic positivity, right? Like rah rah, just look on the bright side, right? Because that would be dismissive. We want to validate people's experience. And I've spent so much time on this author's note, which is the first 3 pages. And I say, I give you context. I hear you. I see you. All of us are going to have grief, loss, disappointment in our life, 100%, right? And some of you are going to think like she's crazy for telling me to be optimistic. But what I'm saying is anything you want. I have 8 pillars of practical optimism. They start from having a purpose, whether it's in life or being very intentional. They end with having practicing healthy habits. They're the 8 Ps. Any problem you have in life, run it through a system, right? Think of it as like a system, a filtration system. And I give you all very tangible tips and techniques so that you can start with a problem, get clarity, ask really good questions, increase your motivation, whether it's through exercise. Exercise boosts a sense of purpose in life, whatever it might be. And whatever problem you have, use these 8 Ps. But the key is it's a practice, right? Like a yoga, like learning a new language, a sport. No one's going to be trying to doing, jump shots or whatever the equivalent in sports athletics is. I got 2 boys and they're big basketball fans, football fans, and their kids, and they practice day in, day out, and I'm like, that's what practical optimism is. I have to practice it every day.
Correct. And for the people who are right now struggling with mental health conditions, depression, anxiety, who are stuck, what would be the most practical beginning thing to do? Because you mentioned exercise and a lot of great things that you said just now. But for somebody who is stuck and they just happen to be watching this,
Yes.
where would they start?
Yeah. So first of all, know you're not alone. And if you need mental health treatment, please, by all means, right? Because practical optimism isn't going to replace the careful, evaluation of a medical provider, behavioral health provider, right? And a simple place to start if you're feeling really like down is if you have a primary care doctor, just to schedule a visit just for your mental health. Like just say, listen, that's all I want to talk about. Because a lot of times you go to see your provider, they're looking at your cholesterol and all that. They don't have time for that. So this isn't going to replace it. This is in addition to, if you're struggling right now. 4 simple key habits. I was in a situation back in April 2020, April 2020, height of the pandemic, the death toll in New York City was rising, and I got a call from Global Citizen, and they're like, we're going to do a program, Lady Gaga, World Health Organization, the UN, Jimmy Fallon, all the late night show hosts, and Oprah, and all these fancy people are going to be on it. I was like, okay, great. I'll be at home. I'll be watching. They're like, no. We want you to speak. And I was like, I don't sing, I don't dance. What do you want me to do? or not very well. Let's put it that way, right? I try to salsa dance, but not very well. And they were like, give us hope. Exactly the same question you're asking. What can you do to help someone right now who's feeling really down and alone? And I said, okay, great. How long do I have? Because they're like, give us hope, give us inspiration, give us tips. I'm like, do I have an hour? They're like, no. You got 59 seconds, girl. And I was like, 59 seconds? What do you want me to talk about? So I said, okay, what am I doing in my life? And my dad is a psychiatrist. He's retired. I called him up whenever I got a problem. I was like, Dad, what would you do? And my mom, who's passed, I was like, what would mom do? And he's like, Sue, it only takes, a second, or a few seconds to save someone's life. And that's all he said. And I was like, oh, he's like the Yoda. I got to go deep. Okay. So,
That's profound.
so I was like, okay, what can I say in a minute that would matter? And so here goes. The 4 M's of mental health. I want you to every single day prioritize it as if your life depended on it, right? Because it does. And these 4 M's are simple science-backed habits, 10 minutes a day. Movement, whatever that looks like for you. It could be literally walking around the block. It could be doing a weight in your home. It could be a yoga mat. It could be stretching, but you have to move your body. The other thing is mindfulness. Mindfulness can be meditation. It could literally just be dishwashing, watching your show, listening, got a podcast on or something, but try to do something single-mindedly, whatever you're doing. Then my favorite, meaningful connection. And this is going deep. This is showing your vulnerability, saying, you know what, I'm down and out. Things are not working. Can I vent to you? you got 15 minutes for me, and then read the room, but go deep, be authentic, put the phones away. And also supplement the deep conversations with the lighter social snacking. You see someone at the water cooler at work, you see someone at the elevator. I'm really big on this, making eye contact, smiling with strangers, the small talk goes such a long way. And the last one is called mastery. And I love this because you don't have to be a master to experience mastery. This can be experiencing a state of flow, kind of lose track of time, the pottery, the gardening. For me, it's the bad salsa dancing. Again, don't have to be a master to experience mastery, and to be honest with you, so much of that music, I remember during medical school, we were working day and night, gross anatomy lab, and, music really, like once a week, I was able to go to a salsa dancing lesson at 7 p.m. and listening to, Mark Anthony, or I don't know, Enrique Iglesias, like all these fabulous, whoever was in at the time.
The throwbacks, yeah.
Yeah, the 20 years ago. But anyway, you don't have to be a master. And that master to experience mastery, and whatever gives you flow, golf, whatever sport, do it. Because one question I always ask people, what do you love to do in life? And when's the last time you did it?
I love that.